We are just one day away from the start of 2023 Washington Commanders training camp, and if you are pumped to get this show on the road and get going here in the 2023 campaign, do me a favor and click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. It's a free and easy way to help us out, so get today's show off on the right foot by clicking that thumbs up icon. And welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry. Today, the top 5 biggest questions for the Washington Commanders to answer here during the 2023 season. I think that there's quite a few question marks going into the year. And listen, if all these things end up getting answered, I think the Washington Commanders could be one heck of a football team, and they could truly break out here for the 2023 season. So without further ado, let's get into today's list with the first question. And I think this one's probably the most important, especially for Commanders fans out there, and that's it. Is Sam Howell a legit NFL QB, a starting franchise QB in the National Football League? Now, my scouting report on Howell is that he still has some room to grow here, plain simply. All right, he's got some nice tools, right? The arm strength is good. He's got a really nice deep ball. He's a plus runner. He's really slippery in the run game, and I actually think he's going to get used quite a bit as a read option type of quarterback this year a little bit, which might surprise some people. But the cons, the throwing mechanics in college and then going into his second year, just weren't all that great, and it's looking like that he's starting to clean some of those things up. He's worked really hard in the offseason to be more consistent because those really push-heavy throwing mechanics would lead to accuracy inconsistencies, and he's trying to be more of a rotational passer this year, which should lead to more consistency in the accuracy department. The pocket presence also is something that's been an issue in the past. He'll go through 1 or 2 reads, and then he'll bail even if the pocket is clean. That is something I want to see improve. That's something that's tougher to improve, but it has happened before. And then the footwork in general, it also contributes to the accuracy inconsistencies. He needs to get more polished in that area as well. And that's the big question. Will Sam Howell break out here in 2023? And I'll say this, I am very excited to see what the kid can do because he's obviously got some nice tools. This guy was considered a potential top 5 draft pick in the NFL draft for a reason, right? He's a good runner in the run game. He's got a good arm. He's got a great deep ball. As long as he can take on some of the nuances in his game, right? The footwork, the mental processing, the accuracy, the throwing mechanics. Once he masters those areas of the game, I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league. And the question's going to be, has he done that this offseason? And I'm super excited to see what is going to happen with Howell here this year because he's under a ton of pressure. Now, I will say, I think that's something that is going to surprise a lot of people in the NFL this year is just how much Sam Howell is used as a rushing quarterback. I think Eric Bieniemy sees that this is one of the worst run-blocking offensive lines in the National Football League, on paper at least. And I think that he's going to try to add another member to the run game fit there for defenses to handle. I think Sam Howell is somebody that's a good runner, somebody that's got good leverage, and somebody that's not afraid to lay down the shoulder if need be. If he needs that first down, they're on like a 4th and 2, and he needs those 2 yards, he's not afraid to go over somebody, run somebody over, and I love the competitive toughness that Howell brings to the table. So let me know how you're feeling about Sam Howell down there in the comment section by giving me a % chance that Howell breaks out during the 2023 season. Put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me down in the comments. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Then another question that I have surrounding the Washington Commanders here this season surrounds the new offensive coordinator in Eric Bieniemy. Now, over the last 5 seasons in Kansas City, the success is apparent, right? 5 straight AFC Championship appearances and 2 Super Bowl titles, including one just last year with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and Andy Reid. But the thing is that although he's had all that success, the narrative around EB is that it was Andy Reid's offense and Patrick Mahomes making plays for him. So Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a head coaching job, and that's where he eventually wants to go. So he leaves Kansas City to try to become his own man here in Washington. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can do just that. Now, I do think that EB is going to have to get pretty creative here in order to find success in Washington because he's got a couple of pretty big challenges in front of him. Number one, he's being tasked to develop an unproven QB in Sam Howell, whereas in Patrick Mahomes. He already had somebody that was freaking fantastic, right? But you look at Sam Howell, he's still somebody that needs to develop. Is he going to be able to do that? That is going to go to the test here in 2023. And then probably the biggest challenge for EB this year is going to be the offensive line, because plain and simply, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. On paper, this is one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League, particularly when it comes to run blocking. You know, Charles Leno Jr. and Andrew Wiley, they're fine as pass protectors, but especially on the interior of this offensive line, it's all unproven talent. It's all guys that have been hurt in the past, and it's guys that haven't particularly been effective when they've been on the field. So to kind of put a scheme around that really lower level offensive line is going to be interesting to see. And because of these challenges, Bieniemy's going to have to get pretty darn creative in order to find success here in the nation's capital. I think there's a couple things that he could do. You know, implement Sam Howell in the run game more often, quick game concepts to kind of limit the offensive line and how much pressure is put on the quarterback, all these different things. He's going to have to get creative, but he does have some nice pieces here in Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson is an interesting piece. He's got some nice pieces to work with. It's just going to be super interesting to see what EB does with all these pieces and try to put this puzzle together. Now, join the channel here at Commanders Report, where we're going to be giving you guys free Commanders news and rumors content every single day here on YouTube. We're going to be covering all 17 games of the Commanders schedule here, 100% free for y'all. So go ahead, click that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you never miss any of our free videos. Now let's shift over to the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to find out this year if all this stuff about building up the defense over the last couple of years has worked. Is this defense going to become elite? Now, last year, definitely a step forward from where they were in 2021, right? 7th in points allowed, 12th in yards per play. First in drive success right there, as you'll see there on the bottom right. That is a very, very important statistic and sabermetric that NFL front offices use, and that's a really good sign. Red zone was really good. Third down was the best in the National Football League. This team could really get off the field, but there's still a couple of categories that they need to get a little bit better in, turnovers and sacks, namely, and I think that they're absolutely going to address those this year, and I think this is going to become an elite defense in 2023. So the defense should be even better, in my opinion, this year. Plain and simply, make some really nice additions in Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin there in the secondary in the NFL draft. Chase Young is coming back 100% healthy. I think that should help the sack production. Jonathan Allen is 100% healthy once again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, is going to do here. And I think this particular question is going to be answered with a resounding yes this season. Then number 4 on my list of questions, this one surrounds edge rusher Chase Young. And the big question for him is that is he going to finally break out, right? He just didn't have a very good 2021 campaign after being Rookie of the Year in 2020. And then he tears his ACL, and then he's out for almost the entirety of the 2022 season. And now he's coming into this year, and it's really put up or shut up time for Mr. Chase Young. All right, you haven't really put together good numbers or anything like that, any production here over the last 2 seasons. Now is the time to prove your worth, because you can't really pay everybody on this defensive line. Now, maybe you can, but if you're going to do that, Chase Young has to be that guy in this room. It's going to be interesting to see if Washington gives Montez Sweat a big-time extension. They're already paying Payne and Jonathan Allen a ton of money. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, in this Commanders front office deal with this situation, because you've got a big influx of talent here. All these members of the starting defensive line went in the first round. But, you know, Chase Young, if he wants to stay here in Washington 4 years to come, I think he's going to have to break out. And if he does so, if he becomes a true number 1 alpha-type edge rusher in this league, along with Montez Sweat, along with Daron Payne, along with Jonathan Allen, this is going to be the best pass rush in the National Football League, at least the best 4-man pass rush in the league. And then I think because of that, and then you add the additions on defense there in the secondary in Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin, I think this might be the best overall defense this year if Chase Young becomes a top 10 edge rusher in this league. So predict it for me down in the comment section. Will Chase Young have that breakout season here in 2023? Give me a yes or give me a no. Let me know how you're feeling about the Commanders edge rusher down in the comment section. Then the last question that I think is going to get answered this season is whether or not Ron Rivera is the future is the future head coach of the Washington Commanders franchise, right? So we've had a couple of years of the Ron Rivera era here in the nation's capital, and it's been a lot of mediocrity, right? You make the playoffs in 2020 with a 7-9 record, meh, and then you get 2021 back to 7 wins at 7-10. That's your worst record so far. And then last year, with a lot of stuff going wrong, right, you do get up to 8-1, which shows a little bit of promise. But this is definitely going to be the year with new ownership coming in, looking to see who's valuable and who's not. Ron Rivera's going to have to prove his value this year, plain and simply. Okay, it's going to be playoffs or bust for the Washington Commanders and Ron Rivera this year. I think if he gets off to a slow start, they're going to fire him to see what they have in Eric Bieniemy. So the pressure is definitely on Ron Rivera going into this season to prove that he can still be a great culture builder here in the National Football League. I certainly think that it's possible that he could still be a great head coach. He's gotten this team to really overperform based on some of the quarterback play that we've seen this team have over the last 3 years. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see because he is mortgaging his future on Sam Howell going into this year. That's definitely a gamble, in my opinion. I guess we'll see if it pays off. Now, I want to know. Let me know down there in the comments section. Will Washington make the playoffs here in 2023? Because I think Ron Rivera's job depends on it. Type HY if you think hell yes, or if you think hell no, give me an HN down there in the comments. All right, that'll be it for me today, Commanders fans. Really do appreciate all the support. If you want more content from me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me at Jack_Sperry on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. I will see you guys later, and as always, hail to the Commanders.